Chapter 3. Fred and Chloe Miller had bought a brand new house, one of 6 on a prime development surrounding a duck pond, with grassland, trees and a picnic area. It was a private estate just on the edge of a village. They had both signed up for the forces straight from school. They had done their basic training at different camps and had been posted for service all over the world, at times involved in actions. Fred was an electronics engineer. He had learnt his trade from the army and was highly qualified, gaining promotion steadily. But with his big passion was guns, automatics, rifles, handguns, rocket launchers, you name it, Fred could fire it with great accuracy. Always on the firing range with his comrades, shooting at targets. But deep down, Fred was a peaceful man who deplored violence, which was strange for a man in the army doing service. Chloe had always wanted to be a nurse, but also she wanted to see the world. So what better solution than to join the army? She was a very conscientious, caring, sensitive lady who held the care of her patients above all else. And after her training and regular nursing, she went on to become a sister in rank. She was also known for having a wicked sense of humour. Some said it was necessary in her profession. Some said it was necessary to be with Fred. For her relaxation, Chloe took up archery and became good enough to represent the army. But Fred and Chloe had been deprived of children, being the victims of broken, violent marriages and suffering emotional, mental and physical abuse. So they joined the army to get away from it, to feel wanted, to belong. They had met while both doing a term of duty in Ireland. Fred had been caught in crossfire, being where he shouldn't have been, so to speak. He had been shot quite badly in the legs, and it was left to the lovely Chloe to nurse him better. The coincidence of it all was that Fred was shipped home to an army hospital, and Chloe, having done her stint in Ireland, was transferred home to Fred's camp hospital. In next to no time, romance blossomed, and needless to say, with so much in common, once Fred was up on his feet, they were soon to be wed. Fred was unable to go overseas due to his injuries, but continued to work from the base, and Chloe carried on nursing at the base hospital, where they were given married quarters, soon to hear the patter of little tiny feet. Sophie was a beautiful baby and in turn a lovely child, and everyone on the camp liked her. From their time overseas, Fred and Chloe had picked up their share of languages and taught their daughter to count, to talk, to spell, and she picked it up quickly. At nursery school, in the infants class, she would chatter away in German, French, Greek, with a little Arabic and Portuguese. She was good, and even the colonel would joke that she would sign up for counterintelligence. But she was never showing off. It was natural, pure talent, fluent. She also liked to be out with the other children on the camp playing. Fred and Chloe still had their passion for guns and archery and would take Sophie with them to show her it can be fun and weapons don't have to be used for violence. They had both enjoyed the army, but were ready to move on and wanted a different life for Sophie. Fred had done his time, and so had Chloe, and they were given a golden handshake and a well-earned pension. They moved into the new home. Fred was doing some part-time consultancy work and Chloe was doing part-time at a private hospital. That's where she had met Martha Jackson, and Sophie was going to the same school as Tommy. It was a brave new world for them, but they're so happy together, and they were sure Sophie would settle. Mr. and Mrs. Jackson had moved out of East London to Essex and had also bought one of the new houses. It was an ideal place to bring young Tommy up. Mrs. Martha Jackson had said, "We'll move in during the 6-week holiday so Tommy can start his new school at the beginning of term with other new kids." Tommy and Martha Jackson had been uneasy about taking Tommy away from his friends and surroundings, but Tommy Senior had earned a big promotion to senior management at his company's head office in Essex. Martha Jackson was a qualified physiotherapist and was going to turn a utility room into a treatment area and work from home once she had built up the client base. In the meantime, she had acquired a post in the local private hospital. They had great hopes for Tommy, who was a bright kid, easygoing and very likeable. And even at this young age, he had a rare talent for football. He could juggle the ball with his feet umpteen times, dribble, control, tackle, shoot. It was like the ball was stuck to him. And when you saw Tommy, you saw a ball, a football, a tennis ball, a golf ball, a beach ball. It didn't matter. He'd be practicing. They'd managed to get Tommy into the nearby school that had high grades in the league tables, and had checked out some local football sides for Tommy to join. And even at his age, Tommy had been spotted while playing for his school and local sides in London. A very rare talent indeed was often whispered in the corridors. Eager eyes were watching his progress. It was traditional to support your local side in East London, win or lose, fighting against relegation, your hopes and dreams of having a good season, maybe winning a cup. That's been known, and it was in your veins. Tommy Senior was a good semi-pro in his younger days, but never made the grade. As soon as young Tommy was old enough, his dad took him to home games with his team's shirt, shorts and socks on, and he loved it. He would mimic his heroes in the garden or in the park, and he knew for whom he would like to play. Mr. and Mrs. Jackson were certain it was the right move, and they would all make friends, and Tommy would settle down, and he would be okay, and he would make new friends. Geoffrey and Joan Childs had bought the third and last of the 6 houses to be snapped up. Geoffrey Childs was a lawyer, but he had done it the hard way. His parents were hard-working, middle to working class, sort of the earth people. They wanted to give Geoffrey every chance, and he grabbed it with both hands, studying every hour possible to get the qualifications to go to university. How proud his parents were to see him receive his scholarship. However, he loved nothing more than to be with his dad, helping him to build a wall or put a roof on. His dad owned a small building firm with 10 or so workers, himself included, and after the work was done, they were down the pub. "We will win the World Cup," was their favourite conversation, but he also loved the law and was good at it, and he had a good job with a very reputable company. He would also look after his dad's legal dealings, and that made him very proud. He was well on his way to becoming a partner in the law firm. "Well thought of," was whispered in the corridors. It was at university Geoffrey had met Joan. Apparently she could down a yard of ale as good as the next man, which was quite surprising as she was a tiny, petite young lady. Although in a debate she had the tongue like a viper and a brain twice as quick. Joan's dad never encouraged Geoffrey. He was a judge from the old school, riff-raff. "He'll never make anything of himself. He'll live off our Joan and me," he was heard to say. Well, he had to eat humble pie, and Joan and Geoffrey never let him forget it, in the nicest possible way. The night Louise was born, the old judge lost his wig to a bottle of 12-year-old malt. Did they wet the baby's head that night? drunk in charge of a wig, Geoffrey's dad accused the old judge. All except Joan, that was. But she would make up for it at the christening, one after the other, drink after drink. She stood with Geoffrey's dad and the lads. She loved Jeff's dad and mum, salt of the earth, and she would hold her own in court or at the bar. Louise was angelic, so affectionate, and loved her cuddles, but never so clever, so clever. She picked things up straight away, remembered everything, never missed a trick, and she loved to learn. She would study, read, write, and ask questions and then stop. Go out and play, come back to that later. As far as advanced as she was never the snotty-nosed Miss Know-It-all. She loved to show how it was done, but in a nice way. Even the judge had to admit he had been wrong about Jeff and was so proud of his granddaughter and was impressed with the new house. Each of the families on the estate in turn had a housewarming party, including the other three families on their plot. Everybody got to know each other very well and all appeared to get on famously, inviting each other to their homes, all expressing their gratitude and friendship. A good neighbour to bring the kids up was. It was their favourite expression. It was only the Jacksons, Millers and Childs who had children. So, of course, they all had something in common and spent more time entertaining, especially as the children were of the same age. In between, the Three Musketeers, as the children had become to know, a true bond was born, and it was one for all and all for one. Louise, Sophie and Tommy all started school together and were all in the same class. Right from the off, the teachers could see there was a special bond that existed between them, and they had warranted being placed in the top class. The teachers had decided to split them up and kept the kids separate around the classroom, sitting each one next to someone else, probably hoping their hunger for learning would rub off on the other children, but this never broke them up. As soon as break time or lunch break came around, there they were, the Three Musketeers. This was their nickname, which had been started by the teachers in good humour, and to be fair, was appropriate, and the kids liked it. It gave them a feeling of belonging to each other, and when they got home from school full of themselves and informed their parents of their new title, they in turn could see the irony of it, and it stuck. All three enjoyed school and didn't have any problems. As much as they were the Three Musketeers, they were also very popular with the other kids and made many friends, although no one could infiltrate the trio. They're all doing well in English, maths, languages, history, all the academics, plus the practical subjects like cooking, woodwork and metalwork. Louise excelled in the academics far and beyond her nearest rival, who happened to be Sophie. This in turn was not a problem for the girls, it just inspired them to greater achievements. Sophie, without a doubt, was the linguist. She was leaps and bounds ahead in languages. Tommy, it has to be said, was bringing up the rear, but was holding his own in the top class. He was also captain of the school football team. The first term passed very quickly and they soon breaking up for the festive season. Christmas was here. Everyone was excited, in and out of each other's houses, and, surprise, surprise, there was good old Fred Miller driving everybody crazy with his video camera. Mr. Charles decided to throw a big New Year's Eve bash, inviting his newfound friends, the Millers, including video camera, and Jacksons and their immediate